it appears that voters in Ohio have rejected a measure that could potentially have had an impact on an abortion vote planned for November. The Associated Press is projecting that voters turned down this measure yesterday. If passed, it would have raised the threshold required for state constitutional amendments from a simple majority to 60%. NBC News senior White House correspondent Kelly O'Donnell joins us now with the latest. Hey, Kelly, good morning. So just kind of remind us about this. This is issue one, and while it certainly could have potentially had this impact on an abortion vote, it was really about the Constitution amending how that can be amended. Tell us about this vote and the reaction to this ultimately being defeated.
Good morning, Savannah. That's right. This is a case where you're looking at the specific language about what voters were asked to decide, and that is a case of adjusting the Constitution. But it's in a bigger context. It's about what's coming in November, which will be a question we know will be on the Ohio ballot about enshrining in the state's Constitution the right to an abortion. So changing how the Constitution is amended in this special election takes on much bigger consequences. And this was a clear message from Ohio voters. This, of course, driven by all of the energy and emotion around abortion rights. We've seen that. And this specific ballot issue is about making it harder to change the state's constitution. And that will ultimately affect abortion rights if you put all of these things in line together. So this is a major win for abortion rights supporters ahead of that November vote, where we know on the ballot in Ohio, voters will be asked to decide if they want a guarantee to abortion in this new constitutional amendment. So what lost last night would have required that next vote coming in November to pass with a 60% supermajority. We now know that has failed according to the projections. So it will only require a 50% simple majority. Local officials were weighing in, of course, and Democrats praise this win, while Republicans argue that making changes to the state's constitution should require a higher standard than a simple majority.
Kelly, how might this impact the role abortion will play in the 2024 election?
Well, certainly the implications are bigger, and President Biden weighed in overnight. He said this is a measure that was a blatant attempt to weaken voters' voices and to erode the freedom of women to make their own health decisions. That's what the president described. And he said democracy in this case won. So Democrats and those who support abortion rights are energized by all of this and believe it is a sign of how to get their base mobilized. That is important because we know that President Biden has dealt with issues like low approval ratings, inflation, things that have weighed down his popularity. And so getting Democrats and others excited about this issue enough to turn out could have significant impact. And no surprise to anyone, this all comes after the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade last summer, and that has made abortion an issue on center stage in politics around the country in different states. Savannah?
Kelly, before I let you go, I do want to ask you about the day ahead for President Biden. He's in New Mexico today. This has been this multi-state tour this week. What can we expect for the agenda today?
Yes, these are pretty vistas in some of the craziest and most lovely places of the Mountain West. And he will be dealing with different issues that will include talking about Bidenomics, a term that we have expected him to be using in trying to defend his policies. He'll also be doing things for talking about the anniversary of the CHIPS and Science Act with his trip to Albuquerque today. That is an important thing about getting some of the circuit boards and things that are often made in other parts of the world manufactured here in the U.S. And he'll be talking about the kitchen table issues and legislative accomplishments that they believe they have made. So expect that as the president is out west.
All right, Kelly O'Donnell, thank you as always.
On game day, you see our strengths.